Hello. This is a presentation on Gonzo journalism and Gonzo literature made by Diego Gonzalez and Alex Jin. What the term means is that it's basically a stance from the writer, from their point of view, or from their experiences with the subject, completely biased and subjective. Through books, articles, and films, the term Gonzo literature has become respected and one of the most used styles of writing in the 21st century.
The 70s, a time of war, peace, and corruption. Thousands of men were drafted into the Vietnam War, forced to leave their homes, families, and lives behind. Others decided to go to college instead of fighting in the war that the U.S. would later lose. Many fled to Canada to escape the grasp of the draft. Many protested against the war, questioning, what is the point of all this? The capitalist pigs send out their soldiers, not humans, but soldiers, so the idea of sending a human to kill one another is buffered. In addition, the U.S. was faced with a crook for a president. The Watergate incident truly shook America. Who would lead the country through this trouble?
Here's the one and only Dr. Hunter S. Thompson.
Legendary author and creator of Gonzo journalism, Mr. Hunter S. Thompson.
Somewhere in Louisville, Kentucky, Gonzo journalism was being created. A boy by the name of Hunter S. Thompson would be both the hero and villain we needed. Hunter, a man from humble beginnings, always tried to become one of the elite of his time. Money would never get him there, so he relied on writing. He was described as charismatic and quiet. All of this would change the day his father developed a disease that would cause him to lose control of his motor skills and undergo a slow decay of death. Hunter was only 14 when his father died. Being part of the elite meant nothing to him. He snapped and turned to the wild man that he is known as today. Thompson resorted to drugs, alcohol, and violence. Luckily, he held on to his passion of writing.
I'll have that huge shotgun over there.
For a second here, what you brought here? Is this a gift, Hunter, or is this?
In a sense, yeah, that's a gift. That's a bomb.
We have here, 2,000 or 3,000 firecrackers, huh?
Yeah.
Hunter would later go on to write his first book, The Hells Angels. It took him 3 years to write this book. This isn't because he suffers from writer's block, but because he actually puts himself into the situation. Hunter lived with the horrific angels to write exactly what happened, with a couple of exaggerations from here to there.
And a copy of the book to each of the Oakland members.
This is only one example of his true dedication to his craft. Through his books and his countless articles, he is the father and creator of Gonzo journalism. His bodies of work exemplify a stance of biased, subjective, and opinionated writing. His style of writing took off and was used to express the author's feelings towards a subject, and was widely accepted across all formats as a legitimate form of journalism and literature. An example of Gonzo literature would be one of his most famous books, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, which is a tale of the harsh abuse of drugs in America, a topic that Thompson has a strong idea about himself.
We were somewhere around Barstow, on the edge of the desert, when the drugs began to take hold.
In time, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas had its own film adaptation, with Hunter being played by Johnny Depp, who was a fan of Mr. Thompson.
For me, I think Hunter is one of the most, without question, one of the most important writers of the 20th century. He reinvented a style of writing by putting himself into the situation, by living it.
This was the phrase, the Gonzo journalism.
Between the movie and the book's success, his new style of writing gained a mass following, and people across the country began to practice his new creation. With Gonzo literature and journalism, along came art. Those who practiced this style of writing also began to draw to make their feelings and observations more clear with pictures. This gave way to an entire new branch of journalism that used illustration and other visual mediums to get their ideas across without using words. The ability to illustrate their feelings gave Gonzo writers a needed dimension that gained even more popularity with the general public. Due to the fact that Gonzo literature called the 70s, which was a drug-infused time, its home, the drawings were often wild, exaggerated, and oftentimes containing bold lines with bright colors. Today, Gonzo journalism is very much alive. Every single day, teenagers or adults alike use social media to express their feelings and their opinions about anything. You can tweet about what you're doing or how something made you feel. Post something on Instagram and talk about how something looked to you. Every time that you express your opinion on a media format, you're using Gonzo journalism. Also new in today's day and age, blogging is becoming more and more popular about any subjects. It could be about food, your culture, fashion, anything. And as they blog, they're giving their formal opinions to anyone reading. So in all honesty, Gonzo literature is one of the most used and most important forms of journalism and literature used today. It has become relevant and important to everyone through social media and to very opinionated news sources in the 21st century.
Why? Because that's what anarchists, Marxists, communist, revolutionaries, Maoists do.
So to be clear, Gonzo literature and journalism is a style of writing created by Hunter S. Thompson during the 1970s. It means to have a completely opinionated stance on whatever you're writing about. Hunter S. Thompson once said in an interview that objective and unbiased journalism is impossible, a statement that formed the Gonzo ideas we know today. It is used today and will be used for many years to come. It is one of the most groundbreaking and influential styles of writing ever used,